the soft clatter of a silver sixpence hidden inside the Christmas pudding, the bitter, chemical tang of glue as you pressed paper chains together with your tongue, and that smell, the unmistakable oily reek of a paraffin heater struggling to push back the cold. If just thinking about these things takes you straight back to a Christmas morning in 1960s Britain, then you already understand this goes beyond simple memory. It's something deeper, something rooted. Because growing up in the UK during that decade meant Christmas arrived in a very different way. This was before everything came wrapped in plastic, before every room was warmed by central heating, before screens replaced books. Christmas back then was something you could feel with your hands, taste on your tongue, and recognize instantly by smell. And if you lived it, these memories never really leave you. The silver sixpence in the pudding wasn't just tradition, it was a test. Each year the family gathered as the pudding appeared. Dark, heavy, soaked in brandy and set alight, blue flames flickering in the half-lit room. Somewhere inside that steaming mass was a coin, sometimes wrapped in greaseproof paper, sometimes not at all. No one needed to explain the rules. Whoever found it would have good luck for the year ahead. But finding it meant eating slowly, painfully, carefully, because hitting metal too hard could mean a cracked tooth. Children chewed cautiously, examining every bite. Adults pretended it didn't matter, though their eyes followed every forkful. When someone finally struck metal, fruit and brandy mixing with that sharp taste, the room erupted. The coin was raised like a trophy, warm and sticky, while everyone else carried on eating with quiet envy. For that one evening, the sixpence was priceless. Not because of its value, but because it meant you'd been chosen. It sounds reckless now, hiding choking hazards in food. But back then, danger was woven into childhood. A Christmas pudding without a sixpence simply didn't feel like Christmas. It was just another dessert. Making paper chains demanded patience and a strong stomach. Before those bright loops could stretch across the ceiling, you had to lick strip after strip, the glue coating your tongue with a sharp, unpleasant taste until your mouth felt thick and numb. But you carried on because those chains were proof that Christmas had truly arrived. Some families bought ready-made packs from Woolworths, strips already cut, glue dried along the edge. Others improvised with newspaper and homemade paste that smelled faintly yeasty and stuck to everything. However you did it, the rhythm was the same. Lick, loop, press, again and again for hours. Your jaw ached. Your tongue went numb. But slowly the room changed. Red linked to green, green to yellow, until the ceiling was crisscrossed with color and the living room felt transformed. When you finally stepped back, fingers sticky and mouth dry, you felt proud. You hadn't bought Christmas, you'd built it. By New Year, the chains sagged. By 12th night, they came down, sometimes intact, sometimes torn apart. But while they hung there, they proved something important. Christmas didn't come from shops. It came from effort, patience, and togetherness, something modern decorations can never quite recreate. The smell of the paraffin heater is unforgettable. Sharp, oily, clinging to curtains and furniture, announcing itself the moment you stepped inside. It wasn't pleasant, but it meant warmth. And in the 1960s, with just one coal fire in most homes, that heater was essential. It sat glowing in the corner, orange light shining through its grill. On Christmas morning, you'd crouch beside it in your pajamas, hands stretched out, breath visible in the freezing air. Bedrooms had no heat, bathrooms had none. The rest of the house stayed bitterly cold all winter. Lighting it was a ceremony. Dad adjusted the wick, struck a match, and watched as the flame caught. At first it smoked, black and harsh, before settling into a steady blue glow. Then the smell filled the room, not quite petrol, not quite tar. A scent that quietly said, "We're coping." Mothers worried about it tipping over. Teachers warned about carbon monoxide, though few really understood it. Still, nearly every house had one. And on Christmas Day, with everyone gathered together, it worked overtime. Its warmth barely traveled, but it tried, and that was enough. Then came the big freeze of 1963. Snow fell on Boxing Day 1962 and simply didn't stop. By New Year, Britain was buried. Fences vanished under drifts. Milk froze solid on doorsteps. And the cold settled in relentless for months. For children, it was heaven. Schools closed. Streets became sledging runs. Rivers froze solid enough to walk across. Snowmen towered over adults, and igloos became serious projects. Days were spent soaked and laughing until numb fingers sent you back indoors. For adults, it was brutal. Coal deliveries failed. Pipes burst. Factories shut. Life slowed to a frozen crawl, and Christmas became a battle against the cold. Yet people pulled together. Neighbors shared fuel. Strangers helped dig out cars. And on Christmas Day, despite everything, families still sat together. The fire crackled. The paraffin heater glowed. And for a few hours, the world outside didn't matter. Christmas annuals were the highlight of Christmas morning. Wrapped in bright paper, heavy hardback books filled with the smell of fresh ink. You tore them open and instantly knew the next few days belonged to you and those pages. The Beano, the dandy, Bunty for girls. Dennis the Menace grinned from the cover. Desperate Dan flexed his impossible strength. Bunty offered boarding schools, mysteries, and adventures just beyond everyday life. You didn't just read them, you disappeared into them. Lying by the fire, house growing quiet, you worked through every joke, strip, and puzzle. These books weren't disposable. They were kept, reread, loved until spines cracked and pages loosened. Years later, finding one in a cupboard, that smell of ink brought everything back, not just stories, but the feeling of endless time. Selection boxes were proper boxes then, solid cardboard shaped like stockings or chimneys, with a window to show the chocolate inside. Full-size bars, real chocolate, no tiny tokens. Getting one felt like winning. Inside were familiar favorites: Milky Bar, Kit Kat, Crunchy, Fries, Chocolate Cream, Dairy Milk. The box itself had games printed on the back. Snakes and ladders, mazes, word puzzles. When the chocolate was gone, the box stayed. Nothing was wasted. Then came the obsessions. Daleks arrived with Doctor Who in 1963, gliding across screens and terrifying children into hiding behind sofas. Every boy wanted one. Toy shops sold out instantly. And then there was Cindy, Britain's answer to Barbie, softer, more familiar, more real. With her bob haircut and striped top, she needed outfits. Dresses, sportswear, riding clothes. Trips to Woolworths became pleading missions for just one more tiny box. These toys weren't just presents, they were status. Waking up on Christmas morning hoping for a Dalek or a Cindy felt like everything. If you got one, you ruled the street. Television wasn't background noise then. It was an event. Doctor Who on Saturday nights, Thunderbirds on Sundays. At Christmas, when specials aired, it felt like the whole country was watching together, united by the same stories, the same cold living rooms, the same flickering black and white screens. If you grew up in 1960s Britain, you didn't need endless choice or modern comforts. You had something better: togetherness, resilience, and Christmases that felt earned. If these memories mean something to you, please subscribe to help keep them alive. Share this with someone who remembers them too. And let me know in the comments, what's your favorite Christmas memory from the 1960s? What was the one thing you loved most?